conversation with Parsa San, we were also told that people are not looking at electrics as their primary car. So the adoption of electrics can be slower than what was anticipated. Do you feel the same, sir?
It's too early to talk about what people will react on electric cars. I think we have to wait for the electric cars, especially the Maruti electric cars, to come into the market. We have to see how the infrastructure goes. And we have to see that the number of people who can buy cars becomes much larger than what it is today. If the market remains confined to this very narrow number of households, no cars are going to grow fast in India. Whether it's electric or non-electric, you'll have slow growth. And so all these factors, Pankaj, need to be watched. I'm hoping that in the course of this year, some changes will keep happening. And these changes will start changing people's perception of what they want and what they can buy. And they will see the electric car. The reason we are exporting a large part of electric vehicle is because we want people to get used to electric cars in India of the type of quality and performance which we are going to give.
Right, sir. Right, sir. And sir, the other question is about this slowdown in urban markets. That you said that cities have become very congested. Is that a worry? And is there any suggestion that you have for the government? How do we tackle this issue? Because it is a very serious issue. People will not buy cars because they're getting stuck in traffic.
Well, that urban traffic planning is a major constraint in a lot of parts of the world, has been. Many cities in the world have managed it. I think our government and our local authorities who manage this are beginning to understand the gravity of the problem.
Yeah.
As a rule, we have not been very good forward planners. We have reacted to situations rather than anticipating situations and planning for them. And the
Yeah.
same thing seems to be happening here. Uh, you spend so much time on the road, we waste so much fuel on the road, we create so much extra pollution on the road merely because of infrastructure inadequacies. Now, there are agencies who have the responsibility for creating infrastructure. Along with infrastructure, Pankaj, the movement of traffic, even in India, could become at least 30-40% better if there was some way of enforcing the correct discipline of driving.
Yes, sir.
But none of that is happening. So the local authorities have to worry about that. That's
Right,
where
sir.
you guys have to put pressure on the local authorities that look at what's happening in the city, how much waste is happening. We talk about pollution and air cleanliness, but then when a car should be running for half an hour, it runs for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You 4 times the pollution only because of infrastructure.
Absolutely, sir. Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Pankaj.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pankaj San. Sir, we will now take question from Alicia from Bloomberg.
Yes, sir, good afternoon, and
Good afternoon.
thank you for taking my question. So you mentioned that exports is what will drive growth for this fiscal for Maruti Suzuki. Are there concerns that you have on the state of just automotive demand globally, though, sir, because the uncertainties around tariffs, the trade war, are people likely to just shore up their finances and not spend on cars as much, perhaps? That's one. And secondly, what's the view, the industry or, you as a company are taking on the pressure that India is getting now from all sides to again, just sort of not protect the domestic industry and that much and just sort of lower tariffs on cars. That's it, sir. Thank you.
Uh, I, I'm not that pessimistic that the global markets will go into recession and people will hoard their money and will not buy. I
Hmm.
think all of these things are going to get worked out in the next 2-3 months. And there might be some slight slowing down in global growth rates, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near a recession. And I'm fairly confident that the segment in which we sell our cars, that segment is not going to be adversely affected. As far as India and the tariffs and this is concerned, I don't think the car industry, especially our exports, are going to get affected by these because we are not exporting to the USA.
Mhm.
And I don't see that many countries in the world, if any at all, are going to follow the example of the USA and also raise high tariffs on imports. Because the
Hmm.
countries where we export are countries which actually want these cars because they don't have an industry. The USA has a car industry which is trying to grow and further increase their output and create jobs. But if countries don't have a car industry, can't have a car industry because of their size or other factors, then they will always want to import cars and they will not go for 100% barriers to imports.
Right. So the domestic market, though, if barriers for imports in India are lowered, is there a risk to the domestic market, you think?
You know, as you know, my views on this are that I don't fear competition. I think
Mhm.
Maruti can compete with anyone. And I think government is looking into this, is negotiating these trade barriers. I'm one who feels that barriers should come down.
Okay. Okay. So lastly, if I could just ask, on the EV side, we're also seeing that globally the sale of hybrids is actually moving at a much faster pace than EVs, even in the markets where you want to export to. And of course, in India, we've seen that Delhi's also proposed tax incentives on hybrids. So, sir, any more steer there on what your plan on hybrids will be from this point on?
Alicia, the object is to reduce the consumption of fuel and reduce pollution. That can be done both by electric cars and hybrid.
Hmm.
It is not, and I want to repeat, this is not hybrid versus electric cars.
Mhm.
It's hybrid and electric cars versus petrol and diesel cars. The adversary which we want to vanquish is pure petrol and diesel cars because they consume the maximum fuel, emit the maximum pollution. Hybrids and electric cars are both much, much cleaner vehicles. Both have to grow. There's more than enough space for both to grow. As you can see, both combined today is still about 5%. There's 95% of the whole market is open. Both can grow much, much faster.
Right, sir.
And we will try and promote both.
Okay. Okay. So, is there any perspective that you can share in terms of how the government might be thinking about incentivizing or just
You
rationalizing
will have
taxes
to
on hybrids so it's at the same?
you will have to ask the government.
Fair enough,
I
sir.
know what I
Thank you.
want, but I don't know what they are thinking.
Fair enough, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Sir, our next question is from Tushar Deep Singh from NDTV.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Bhavya sir. Just
Evening.
one first question on the expenses front. There's a massive change in the inventory cost, which is minus 707 crore. And there's a 14% jump in other expenses, which is about 450 to 460 crore. So can you guide us through this? Mr. Bhargava, you recently in the interview mentioned about that there is a need for a category of cars, even below small cars, on the lines of Japan. In that respect, do you see a flip in demand trends in favor of small cars going ahead, say in the next 5 years or so? Considering maybe if you can introduce the hybrid powertrains into smaller cars. Thank you, sir.
The first question is whether they will introduce the segment for an entry level car in India to provide a more viable option for the 280 million scooter owners. This huge chunk, 60-70% of India's population, don't have today an alternative where they can go to another car, go to a safer, more comfortable vehicle for themselves and their families. They are stuck with the two-wheeler for a long, long time. So government has to do something there. It's not something I can do. If that happens, then I see this to be potentially a very, very large market in India. 20 million scooters were sold last year. The number is likely to go up because people at that level have no options. As I said, 200 million households are $6,000 and below. How should they commute? What should they use? Today, the only option this kind of household has is a two-wheeler. So two-wheelers will grow, but unless we get this viable option for these guys, and then the market will change. Your first question, Arnab, please take over. Expenses.
On the expense front, on the quarter, yes, we had some lumpiness on the expenses. There are some items like, because it's the fiscal year, so the profit for the year is higher, as you have seen. So there is a corresponding spend on the CSR. There are some conscious efforts which we are doing on the digitization. So there are some digitization related conscious efforts which we are doing on
Arnab,
the digitization. So
we
there's
had a
some
specific question that inventory expenses
Cost
have,
is inventory cost is minus 707 crore, and there's a jump in other expenses for 14% to rupees 450 crore rupees or so.
I was
Can you
explaining
explain
first,
those 2 points?
I was first explaining the other expense piece. So on the other expense, these are the components. So we have CSR, as I've already explained. We also have some digitization related expenses, which is there on the other expense, and also something on the repair and maintenance side. So those are the major components of the other expenses. On the inventory part of it, yes, I mean, there is a discount which is there in the market this year because of the market situation.
What is the expense towards, because I think the Kharkhoda plant has actually eaten into the margins. Would that assessment be correct?
Kharkhoda has just started. So yes, obviously there are some depreciations which are related to Kharkhoda. We just had 2 months of Kharkhoda in this fiscal year.
And no revenues.
And no revenues corresponding to that. So it's just the start of Kharkhoda.
Okay, just want to squeeze in a bit for Mr. Bhargava. Do you
Yeah.
see the prospect of small hybrid cars in the market, say the Swift, or in an Ertiga or a Celerio, or even the Wagoner, which is the most moving model for you? Thank you so much, sir.
We have to develop that hybrid for that small car yet. It doesn't exist. People are working at it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tushar San. Our next question is from Mr. Atul Ranjan.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Sir, on market share, I wanted to ask, with muted industry growth expected, are we going to see, sorry, some problem, some 40% market share?
Something is echoing again and again and again.
Atul San, I would request you to kindly type in your question. We can read it out because there is some echo problem from your end.
Sure.
I think write it. The sound is not working.
So meanwhile, we will take the next question, which is from Mugdha. Mugdha from NDTV again.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So first question is that you said you expect some intervention from the government over the course of the year. Can we understand what kind of intervention would you expect? And the second question is that I missed the part where you gave the detail of when can we expect the EV in India. And you said the 70,000 EV per year, but most of it
Not
for
per year. I said
Yeah.
this year. This
All
year,
right,
not
this
per
year.
year.
All right. So, do we have any idea of how much will you be exporting out of this? Because you said majorly you will be exporting.
Yeah, I still say that the bulk of it will be exported. The overseas market obviously can't be predicted exactly as to how many, it'll be so many thousands, so much. But you can take it that the large part of the cars which we produce will initially be exported, and the remaining will be sold in the domestic market. And as I already said, we will start this sale before September end.
And so, what kind of interventions would do you think are needed for the
Magda,
economy?
you know that for the car sales to revive, the cars, small cars have to become more affordable for the people of the income levels which they buy cars. That requires what? Lower taxes, less cost and regulation. Both are required.
All right, sir. Thank you. I'll get back into the queue.
Okay.
So before I take the next question, we have a question from Rajkumar Leshamba San from PTI. Due to some technical issue, he is unable to join. I'll read out his question. He has requested to know the location of second plant in Gujarat, and if we have finalized the location, and if not, then what is the reason for delay?
There's no delay. There is no hurry about doing anything there because with the market growth of 1%, 2%, why would I put up another million units in a hurry? Unless the market shows there's a need. I have enough capacity coming up in Kharkhoda, some is coming to Manesa, some is coming up in Gujarat first plant. There's no hurry about the Gujarat second plant, and the site has not yet been formalized.
Thank you, sir. I think that must have clarified his question. Our next question is from Ronendra San from Hindu Business Line. Ronendra San, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please. And if possible, you can switch on your video.
Yeah. Good evening, Bhargav-san and everyone.
Good evening.
Bhargav-san, I just wanted to take you back to the question where you said there are regulations and lower taxes required, less regulations required from the government. Can you elaborate a bit on that? So, and what is the market perspective?
You know, I was given the example of the Japanese K car.
Okay.
Those K cars have a different set of regulations compared to the other cars. And the taxes on them are much lower also. That is why those cars, they're smaller cars, but they are cheaper and they're more affordable. And that's how Japan switched from motorcycles to four-wheelers.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do something similar here. Otherwise, I don't see how this 30 crore two-wheeler owners are going to become anything different than what they are today in terms of commuting.
So would EV be a solution in that size, sir? Because we already have GST, lesser GST in that, and also zero cost
unless somebody can bring the cost of the EV down by half or less.
Mm-hmm.
Affordability, that class of people I'm talking about is talking about affordability. If you can give them an electric car at 5 lakhs, yes.
Okay. So is Maruti, developing those kind of cars or can develop at that cost?
Today, nobody can develop at that cost, not even the Chinese.
Okay. And another question I had, sir, on the EV again, there has been some talks with the Ministry of Heavy Industries where they require hybrid and electric, ambulances, which I think Maruti has shown an interest in. Can you just give some details on that, sir? How far are we from there? If you're developing any such vehicles for the to participate in the PME drive?
We are working at it. I think Takuchi-san can answer that, but I know we are working at it.
Okay.
Takuchi-san.
Yeah, we just started, so we can't say any definite answer to this, but we are currently working on this project.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you, sir. I'll come back in queue.
Thank you, Ronendra San. Sir, our next question is from Karan Dhar from Fortune. Karan, please go ahead and ask your question. Yes.
Good evening, Bhargava sir.
Good evening.
Sir, do you see the declining trend in small car sales to reflect in large car sales sometime in the future?
It's already happened.
Okay.
If you look at the growth of the market,
Yeah.
It's growing. It used to grow at 8, 9%, 10%. It's come down
Yeah.
to 1 to 2% is the projection for this year.
A follow-up on this, do you expect the new income tax exemptions to revive small car sales this year?
I doubt it. You know, how much money will people get? The gap is running into the cost of the car, I think, has gone up Partho, how much? By about 80, 90,000 rupees a car for
Yes,
regulatory
sir.
changes?
Yes, sir.
Something,
Yes.
something like
Yeah.
that?
90,000, sir.
How much will income tax give? And people have other expenditures. There's normal household increase in expenditure. People are not going to put all their income tax savings, put it aside and use it to buy a car. They have other priorities also. These are small households, Karan, and they have many requirements. The children have requirements. So car will not be the top requirement of these people.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Karan. Sir, our next question is from Puneet Zaveri. Puneet, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, thanks so much for the opportunity. Just one question specifically on, the EV segment you spoke about, Mr. Bhargava. You are exporting a lot of it, and that's understood. I just wanted to just take back and get your view on the domestic EV market now. How are you seeing the current market? Because we've seen a lot of models priced between 10 and 20 lakhs. So, and we've seen the market change from retrofitted EVs, the ones which were petrol or diesel earlier had just an engine, to a lot of OEMs launching the new brands in terms of electric vehicles. So, as a strategy, I think that's something that Maruti has also done. So, how do you currently see the market and the demand? Because penetration, while low, and your point on EVs and hybrids will be taken looked at together. How are you seeing the market, at least for this in near term and a medium term view, if you can also mention, sir?
The market for electric and EVs has to grow faster because we have to meet our emission targets. The problem is that we have to look at what are the impediments to the customers buying these vehicles. And we have to find solutions to these impediments so that these vehicles become more and more acceptable to the consumer. Because however much there's a priority and an importance in increasing the sale of EVs and hybrids, unless the customer finds that it meets his requirements, he's not going to buy it. And that is where I think the job of all the OEMs, and perhaps assisted where necessary by government, if there is some area, is to find and locate these impediments and find solutions to these impediments. That's our job.
And Mr. Bhargava, do you see that because there's been over the last couple of years a new-ish segment, if I can say, of compact SUVs that have come in this price, starting from 6 lakh, go all the way to 15 lakhs for the upper end of those models. Uh, Anything that you can suggest for Maruti, because you have a lot of cars starting from the Baleno in that and the Fronx as well in that price range. Just in terms of how do you view the market, because a lot of competitors have launched a base variant with limited features in that price range between 6 to 10 lakhs. So how are you seeing that space?
See, Puneet, at the moment, the electric cars tend to be expensive in India, partly because our component infrastructure for electric cars in India is not developed. We are talking of infrastructure for electric cars, and we think infrastructure only means charging points and things. But for any automobile, the component infrastructure is an exceedingly important aspect. And you take the battery. There is no company yet manufacturing batteries in India at a competitive price. The other components also, most of them, lots of the internal parts are imported. The result is that all electric cars in India become much higher priced. And if they are higher priced, then the market for that is limited to, again, I go back to my household data, to those households which have that kind of income to spend money there. So people are trying to find solution, but even 15 to 18 lakhs is not a simple amount of money for people to spend on an electric car. If you're looking at somebody, a household with an income of 10 lakhs, how will he buy a car of 15 to 18 lakhs?
And Mr. Bhargava, just this extension of question of compact SUVs, and we've seen petrol and diesel launches actually of a lot of competitors in this. So how are you viewing that? You mentioned about electric vehicle in the 6 to 15 lakh range. how you viewing the compact SUV market specifically for you as Maruti as well as the market, because it's been evolving and growing in numbers steadily. Uh, can there be an extension from small cars to compact SUVs becoming the new entry level vehicles according to you?
We need all segments to grow, Puneet. We need the SUV segment, of course, to grow. But we need the small car segment to grow. It's a price factor, and we have to give at that price a vehicle which the consumer would like to buy and use. If the consumer says that at that price level also I want a vehicle which looks like an SUV, we have to do that. We have to follow the consumer. I can't dictate tastes. The consumer dictates.
Understood, sir. All right. Thanks so much for the opportunity and
Thank
best
you.
of luck for FY26.
Thank you.
Thank you, Puneet.
I think I saw some question
Atul
coming up
Ranjan.
from KNN.
Yes, NNA. I'll just read out two questions sent by Atul Ranjan San. The first one is, with muted industry growth expected, will the company's market share hover around 40% in financial year 26 and financial year 27?
Will the company's market share what?
Hover around 40% in the coming two financial years, this year and the next year.
If there isn't growth happening, I don't see too much. There might be some minor changes in market share, but I don't see major changes in market share unless the market grows. But Takichi-san, you might have a view on this.
Yeah. I think we have been disclosing the numbers, wholesales numbers, but now we try to shift our focus on retail numbers. And when you see our retail, market share, it's again hovering about 41% or a little bit more than 41%. So our aim is to gradually, increasing the market share by introducing some, attractive models. So that's what we are trying to achieve.
Thank you, sir. I will read out the next question, which is on exports from Atul Ranjan San himself. In financial year 24-25, Japan ranked among the top 5 export markets for Maruti Suzuki, alongside countries like South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Chile, and Mexico. I would like to know if this is the first time Japan has emerged as one of the Maruti Suzuki's top 5 export markets.
Takichi-san, I think so, but please.
I think so too, but I don't have a number right now. We never had such a big volume export to Japan. Now we have two products, Jimny 5-door and Flunks. So that is helping us to increase export to Japan. The numbers we can come back later.
I know the relevance of whether big in the first 5 or not there. It's the numbers which matter, what Takichi-san is saying.
Thank you, sir. Sir, our next question is from Prateek. He had typed in the chat box also, but we are trying to take him here to ask the question. Prateek, will you be able to unmute
Yes.
yourself and ask? Thanks.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My question is about the new SUV that you had mentioned that will be launching this year. Can we get some more details about it? Which segment, what price band, and will it be built in India for India?
All cars are largely built in India for India now. We don't import built-up cars. Even the cars you see today
What I meant is, will this car will there be any chance of it being exported as well? And if you can share some more details about the car.
I think, Prateek, you need a little bit more patience. Let the vehicle come. Then let's see whether it's exportable or not. I don't know at this point. I haven't seen the vehicle even.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Prateek. So we have one more question. I think this will be our last question because we are already at 4:15. Rishi Kant from Fortune India. His question is Maruti Suzuki mulling creating a separate dealership identity for its electric vehicles, something similar to Nexa, or will it be part of the Nexa fold?
Pakistan.
We don't have such a plan to establish new channels, so we will keep using the existing two passenger car channels for selling our future EVs.
Thank you, sir. That was the last question for today. With your kind permission, I'll close this session. And to all media friends whose questions remain unanswered, please reach out to us. We will get back to you as soon as possible with the details. Thank you so much, sir. Closing the session now.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye, sir.
Thank you.